I think Rogue One might be, at least so far, the most divisive film of the whole franchise. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Izzy. This is the Izzy and Aubrey Show. I finally went and saw Rogue One. I was able to dodge spoilers like fucking Neo in the Matrix because these movies always come out in Brazil first, and some people take pleasure in ruining what little I get out of this life. So I always get these movies spoiled for me on social media because I'm so addicted to this shit that I can't go without for a week. So this is just a reality of life. I know that when I go to see these movies, I probably already know the ending. Rogue One didn't matter so much with it being a prequel. I know I already really knew how it's gonna kind of end, and even maybe that's why people didn't bother spoiling this one for me. So thanks guys, at least for this one time. So Rogue One tells the story of how exactly the rebels got the plans for the first Death Star. It retroactively explains a few flaws, namely, how is it that some kid from Tatooine was able to explode this whole thing by fucking hitting the light, by shooting one little torpedo into this one thing, well technically it was two. Anyway, the movie explains this. The movie explains why that was, and I thought it was a very interesting little bit of retcon. I think it worked perfectly. Characters. They gave us perhaps a few too many. It got to a point in the movie that there was so many moving parts and so many guys there that we just really know their names, and the character development ended up being a little bit shallow. I understand that for these heist type movies, you need a big crew, and there's the one guy who does this, the one guy who does that. But maybe it would have been, the movie would have benefited from having a smaller cast. The score was probably the weakest point of the movie. John Williams did not do the score for this one. It was, what was the guy's name? Michael Giacchini or something? I forget the guy's name. And it was an incredibly rushed piece of work. Apparently he only had 4 weeks to score this film, and it shows at a lot of parts. It doesn't really sound like a Star Wars movie, even though at many points you can tell that he drew a lot of inspiration from the common themes and the melodies from the original series, but it just wasn't quite there. I think it's extremely weak. It wouldn't surprise me if people start to like do all these like internet remixes of like putting original Star Wars music. I almost fucking said Star Trek there. Star Wars music. And you know how people do this, and I think we're all gonna come out of this thinking that it probably sounded a lot better if John Williams had done the score for this one, but what are you gonna do? The movie sags a little bit, kind of in the halfway point. Again, too many characters, too many moving parts. We don't really know enough about all of these guys, and it starts to get just a little like eh. The third act is when things just really catch up. I really love, there was a sense, even though you know how it's gonna end, because it being a prequel and all, spin-off prequel anyway, you kind of know how it's gonna end, but there's still this weight in this drama, and it's kind of like, this is just good movie making. Like, I've seen Aliens 1,000 times. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, but at the very end, that third act, it still gets me pumped even though I've seen it. And I think this is just really good filmmaking. You compare that to the battles, the space battles in, say, Episode 1, where, again, you know how this is gonna end. You know Anakin is not gonna die, but it's so by the numbers and so sterile, and the CG really didn't hold up so much. It's a bore. It's not really exciting. And the space battles in Rogue One I found extremely exciting. I got pumped. The end of Rogue One, well, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it was exactly beat by beat, the scene of the end, like the way everything kind of coagulates at the very end of the movie into the beginning of Star Wars Episode 4, I found brilliant. I was a little thrown off by the CGI Leia and CGI Tarkin, especially because they used a lot. Like, Leia shows up for like a split second, and it's very distracting. It's very, very Uncanny Valley-y, but at least it was a brief moment. Tarkin, they actually gave him a lot of speaking roles. It's very interesting to see a guy who died, Peter Cushing I think is his name, died in 1994, and he's starring in a movie in 2016. As weird as his character, like, it never quite sits well with us, we evolved to recognize humans surprisingly well. So while computer monsters and computer dinosaurs, it fools our eyes perfectly because, I mean, we have nothing to draw comparison from. Humans, we're just very good at telling that shit from the real humans from the CGI stuff, so never ends up looking too great. It's very distracting at times, but, you know, it's cool that, you know, you got Tarkin there and tying that up with Episode 4. The scene with Vader in the end makes me feel that we really need a Vader spin-off film. Perhaps, look, this is gonna be a Christmas tradition now. When Disney bought Lucasfilm, we knew, they told us that this is gonna be an yearly release of Star Wars, and a lot of people, the more cynical among us, were like, oh, you know, that's probably gonna get old after a while. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so give me more. Just give me all. I'm gonna buy the toys. I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray. I'm gonna buy the huge metal bucket of popcorn that they have. I'm gonna buy it all. I just want it. I want it. And if we're gonna go down this road, give me a Vader picture. Give me a Vader. We've all seen him as like a total badass throughout the decades, but if you think about it, he never really did that much. Like, this might be the first main Star Wars film, not like an animation, not like, you know, not a comic book. This might be the first Star Wars film that we see Vader being a total badass. There's no way I'm alone in thinking we need more of that. This movie was incredibly divisive. I follow a lot of people, like Comic Book Girl 19, and I always forget her name, Jenny Star Wars. Sorry, Jenny, you're Jenny Star Wars now. These are two people who love Star Wars. They've done a lot of work about Star Wars, and they hated this picture. And I was a little taken aback because that cut my hype level and like down to like 10% when I saw them hate the movie. I got like episode 1 flashbacks when they were trashing the movie. Razor Fist also apparently didn't like the movie so much. So I was like, oh shit. But no, I liked it a lot. I totally see their point. I totally see where they're coming from. I also, a lot of things they pointed out, I also was not a fan, but that did not ruin my enjoyment of the film. I thought it was still great, even though it sags a little bit, even though the score is not really Star Warsy. I really loved that perspective of these are just regular everyday folk in the government of the Empire, like that oppressive, almost fascist government that they have to, their day-to-day life is predicated on. Like, they live in the shit. And we don't get that sense so much. Who the fuck's texting me? We don't get that sense so much from the other films. It's very like, you know, there's this chosen one that the prophecy spoke of this guy who's gonna come in the whole hero's journey. And this one is very much like a heist film. It's like these are just like ground level grunts just trying to do the right thing. And great film. I thought it was a great film. My phone's blowing up now. Somebody created a... fuck. Son of a bitch. Go see this film. As a Star Wars fan, I want more of this shit. And I need you to pay to go see it so that they will give us more of that shit. So, go see it. Let me know. They're still fucking texting me. Fuck. Let me know how you feel about this movie in the comments down below. Did you love it? Did you hit... Fuck! Stop it! Oh my god, somebody created... I never know if these people mean this or if it's like to fuck with me. Somebody created an Izzy Nobri... Fuck, you're not gonna be able to see this. Wait a second. Somebody created just literally now an Izzy Nobri fan club on Telegram. And they're blowing up my phone, and I'm not sure if they mean it, if this is for real, or if it's... Let me just mute this thing. Or if it's like, just to fuck with me. If it's supposed to be ironic. And I feel bad because if they mean it and I just like go fuck yourselves, stop blowing up my phone, I'll be an asshole. I don't want to humor them and be like, oh guys, thank you so much, and it's actually a joke at my fucking expense. Why do I even do this internet thing again? Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy and I'm done. Should I respond to these guys? I'm actually worried. No, I think they're fucking with me.